Assalamu alaikum, good morning, hello to everyone that's watching, and Jummah Mubarak to everyone on this wonderful Friday. And all of those people that are fasting, I hope it's the first one yesterday went well, and today is the second one. And we, as you know, have changed our outline of the show, and we will be looking at a verse from the Quran today. And I will tell you more about that a little bit later after we look at the news. But, you know, just one thing, that it is Friday, it's a very important day, and, you know, it's about making sure that these fasts are not made more difficult unnecessarily. So when you're driving or when you're moving around, you know, remember that everyone's got their own battles, everyone's got their own difficulties, and everyone's trying to be a better person during this month as well. So with that, I wish you all the luck, and also, you know, all of the desires that you wish to achieve during this fast. You know, this is the time where we can sit down and we can actually reflect and take, you know, just take a stock on what have we been doing, what has the year been like, and what would we want the rest of the year to be like. But moving on, before we get more into the whole spirituality and the religious aspect of fasting, we need to share with you some really interesting happenings from around the world. And there's only 2 stories today, so let's see what's going on. A 50.47 carat D-color, potentially internally flawless diamond ring by Harry Winston was sold for $6.5 million at a Christie's auction, along with a 20.49 carat fancy vivid yellow diamond ring, which fetched over $5.4 million. Wonderful. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, they say. And moving on, a 69-year-old Chinese man who had both lower legs amputated through frostbite after trying to climb Mount Everest over 40 years ago has finally successfully scaled the world's highest peak. Big, big congratulations. It's incredible. Fantastic. That's such great news, and it's a great way to start off Friday mornings as well. And, you know, if you put your mind to it, it is mind over matter. And, you know, if this guy should be an example and an inspiration to all of us who make these little excuses maybe not to do something in our lives. But moving on now to the next part of our show. As you know, every morning we will be looking at the Quran and the different verses and what it's actually trying to teach us. A lot of the time, I think we take it for granted, the fact that we were born into the religion, or we're surrounded by it, or we live in a Muslim country. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that you don't need to know what is it trying to teach you. Because if you don't know, then people can mislead you, you can be manipulated, and also be led astray. And then also it allows other people who have less knowledge or maybe ignorant, you will not be able to defend things that are linked to your culture or to your way of life. So in order to discuss what the Quran is teaching us and to give you the balanced view, not this kind of noise that the whole world is seeing, the true essence, which we are trying to put forward to you for the last 5 years as well, we will be in conversation again with Dr. Kamal Kesser, who is a pediatrician by profession, but has been a Quran teacher for over 20 years, teaching the youth of Pakistan character building through the Quran and Sunnah. Today we will be looking at the first 5 verses of Surah Baqrah, and we will get the conversation started. But first we need to share the verses with you, and then we will talk to Dr. Kamal Kesser. Although today we do not have the recitation, my apologies. Let's get started with Dr. Kamal Kesser. Assalamu alaikum, good morning, Jummah Mubarak.
How are you?
I'm good today. I'm excited.
Fresh after the first Rosa.
Yes, yesterday, as you guys
spirits.
could see, I was a bit spaced out, but today I'm a bit more in the zone. Thank you very much. So let's get started because we have a lot to cover today.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The moment we talk about Surah Al-Fatiha that we covered yesterday, and especially in that we are desperately making this dua, Allah show me the right path, so that I don't get distracted by all the influences which are around me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to move on to the second chapter, that is Surah Al-Baqarah.
Okay.
And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about Surah Al-Baqarah that those people who recite this Surah Al-Baqarah, shaitan is going to flee away from their homes. I have seen so many people so worried about all the influences, the evil influences that are affecting their houses. So this is a message for all of them to start reciting Surah Al-Baqarah. Make sure you recite a portion of it every day.
Okay.
Now, the surah is so interesting. It starts with Alif Lam Mim. Zalikal kitabu la rayba fi. Alif Lam Mim, these are known as haruf muqatta'at. They don't have any meaning, and they have been placed at the very beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. It's like, you know, when you are so emotional and you're so charged up and you are like, yes, I'm going to read Quran and I'm going to get some messages for myself. And the moment you read the first verse, it says Alif Lam Mim. It doesn't have a meaning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given the meaning of it. At the same time, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and even Sahaba, they didn't give any explanation of that. They just said, because this is part of revelation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed it over there, and we recite it as they are. These are the disjointed letters which have been placed over there. And many scholars say that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I mean, Allah knows best, but one of the reasons that has been given why they are placed over there is so that while we are trying to understand and ponder over the verses of Quran, we also bring in this thought that there are going to be certain things, certain ayahs, certain messages which will be coming in the Quran that we might not be able to understand at that moment. That also tells us that there is a difference between the mental capacity, or I wouldn't say mental capacity, like the thought process capacity between the creator and the creation. Okay? Like if there is a CEO of a company, and then you have a guard which is there in the company, obviously there's no match. How they're going to think, how they're going to work on the growth or even the productivity. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you need to start with a thought, there are going to be certain things, you just accept it because it's coming from the creator. Like a mom would tell her 4-year-old kid, when the kid says, why do I have to eat this, or why I have to do certain thing? Even a teenager would say that. And the parents would say, because I said so. Okay?
Which doesn't tend to work when it comes to parenting as much, but with the Quran it's different.
Yeah, but so, that's like an important message that have been given over here, that don't get emotional, don't get hyped up, just slow down and just start going step by step, and you will inshallah get the right meaning.
Okay.
Then the second verse talks about Zalikal kitabu la rayba fi Delille Muttaqeen, and it says that this is a book about which there are no doubts, and it is going to be guiding the muttaqeen. Now, anything that you start with doubts, let's say you go to a restaurant and you're about to have a nice sizzling platter, and a friend who was with you says, you know, when the waiter was bringing in that platter, I just noticed he was picking out something and throwing it on the floor. I just think maybe it was a fly or an insect or something, or a hair in there. What are you going to do? Even if you didn't notice, even if the whole management comes up and they try to explain to you that, ma'am, there was nothing of the sort, because you got doubt in your mind, you are never going to be you're not going to eat it, you're not going to even try it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that once you start reading Quran, yes, we are going to have doubts. Let's clarify those doubts, but don't have doubts that if this is a divine message or not, if this is exactly what Allah is saying or not, okay? Because doubts are very crippling for us, and that's what we have to focus on. And then the verse says, Delille Muttaqeen. This is going to guide the people who are Allah conscious. Now, this word, when we do the translation and we say hudan, the guidance, but in Arabic, this word, this terminology, hudan, the hadaya, it means something more than just guidance. Like guidance could be you're sitting somewhere and somebody comes up and is asking a direction from you. What do? You're like, okay, go straight, then take a left turn or right turn, and that's where you're going to be. But guidance is something like the Google does to us these days. You know, Google Maps, you just put in the address and it will reroute, and it will keep guiding you, telling you different, like 200 meters ahead, or, you know, this much, and now take this turn. So this kind of guidance where you exactly reach that spot. Okay? So Allah Ta'ala says that if you don't have doubts about Quran, and you take it as a divine message, and it's going to guide you immensely. But there is another important criterion which has been given. It is going to guide the muttaqeen, the people who are conscious about Allah. Now, who are those people? Because we also need to understand that. The next verse,
this is the third verse, correct?
This is the third. This is the third verse now.
Yes.
The next verse, the third verse says, Allazina yu'minuna bil ghayb وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Three important criteria has been given for the people who will be guided through Quran. And we can all check, like sometimes people just read Quran or try to understand Quran for intellectual sort of a quench or a thought process, let me just find out, or a very critical angle, that then you're not going to benefit from it. You will be moving from one scholar to another scholar, or one tafsir or a book to another one, but you will still keep having doubts. So what do you need to do? These three important categories you have to understand. The first is you have to have faith in the unseen. What is unseen? Something that I can't sense with using my five senses, and I cannot apparently logically prove it. And what are the things which are in the part of unseen is believing Allah is there. Because if someone says, I don't even believe there is God, and no matter how much he reads the Quran, he's not going to benefit. Many things won't make any, will not give him any logical, kind of value to it.
Okay.
And then believe in the angels, believe in the hereafter, believe in there is hell and there is heaven,
Okay.
and believe in the prophets, believe that this is a divine scripture, not just this, all the divine scriptures that had been there.
Okay.
And many times people say, see, that's why I don't want to study Quran, because you people follow blind faith. Now, you know, when we are studying sciences, and let's say you're in a lab or you're trying to resolve some sort of a formula, the teacher gives you formula, the scientists give you a formula. And when you say, how did you come up with this formula? They say, just apply this formula and you will start seeing the results.
Because the scientist knows, because they've done the trial and error, and they have all the
exactly.
research. Okay, let's pause there, because this is taking a lot longer, and I was going to do the questioning, but you highlighted some very important points, like doubt and having the faith and etc. For all those people out there, how can we incorporate that into our lives? Because these days there is a lack of knowledge. Parents send their kids for Quran reading, but the meaning's not being taught. All of these things. So you do have a disconnect. I mean,
it is. It is an issue of the day.
Asking children or the youth or anyone actually to just believe what someone's saying without telling them or showing them or teaching them that this is the book. That's not fair. Do you agree with that? Because you need to teach them what their religion is.
That's what these verses are telling us, that go slow on yourself, take baby steps. Okay. If you have doubts, put them at the back, put them aside for a while. As you will move on, Allah is going to show you all the indications. And that's exactly what I was coming up to, that when you have a formula or something, what do? You prove through then a lot of experimentation or different steps that you follow. Similarly, Allah says, for now, just for now, believe in unseen. Believe Allah is there, believe there are angels, believe in these things. And this is going to help you build yourself on it. Okay, so that's the point. Like somebody says, you want me to believe in, keep having these doubts. You say, no problem. You have all the doubts. Jot them down, write them down for yourself. And as you move on to different verses of Quran, you will get the answers over there.
Okay, but I've just been informed that because we're short of time, we actually need to finish the verses. So what we discussed beforehand, we will do that later. So if you just finish that, and then I can
so after this believe in unseen, the second important part is وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ. What we need to do is start praying. Again, this is such an amazing concept, because many people say, I'll pray when I feel the connection with Allah. I'll pray when something hits me in my heart and I hear this inner voice saying, go and bow down to Allah. But Allah Ta'ala says you don't have any connection. You just said, I believe in Allah. You are just basing yourself on that blind faith. Right now, what you need to do is start praying. Allah is not asking us how much spiritually we feel attached at that moment, but He says, let it be the starting point for yourself.
Okay.
Third important thing is, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Spending. Spend out of what Allah says, I have given you. This is so amazing, Maha, because it gives us a very beautiful blend. Starts with the concept of unseen, then moves on to the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because praying is right of Allah. And then Allah ta'ala doesn't stop over there. Says, once you accept Allah, then start giving out to community, reach to community through your talents, your potentials, your money, and all the things that you have with you. So this is like an important thing that we understand over here.
Right.
Then we move on to the next verse, and the next verse is basically says, the fourth verse, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Says, and who believe in what has been revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what was revealed before you, and of the hereafter they are certain. So we talk about believing in all the prophets. Okay? Not only just the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We respect all the prophets that had been there, and we believe that whatever Allah Ta'ala sent down the revelations on them, they were coming from the God. Then when we start doing all these things, we started with faith in unseen. We are ending up with strong belief in the hereafter. You know, because once you start practicing these things, then you have this yaqeen. And the word yaqeen means when you become action-based. Excuse me, like whatever you're doing in your life. Let's say you are so angry at someone and you want to get back. And if you have this yaqeen in akhirah, then what you do is you tell yourself, I think I'll let go. I think I'm going to forgive this person, because this is going to benefit me not only in this life but also in akhirah. Okay. So that is when you become action-based. And the fifth verse says, Ulaika ala hudam min rabbihim, and they are the one who are upon the guidance from their Rabb. Wa ulaika humul muflihun, and they are the one who have ultimate success. Okay. Falah is a word which is used for a farmer, and think of all the things that he does all year round, managing his crops. And ultimately, one day when he's done with the crops, he is getting all the benefit out of it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you invest in the right place and when you protect it in all those right areas and times, that's when you get this ultimate success. Wow. So this is like a very beautiful profile. And I feel that if we have doubt, as you said, yes, or if you don't believe in so many things that are happening and you are moving on from person to person, trying to find out the reason, and you're like, nobody is able to answer the questions that I have inside. Don't look around anywhere, look inside yourself. Start working on these parameters, and in due time, it might take you a couple of years as well, but you will ultimately get all the answers.
Okay, and so now let's move on to how, parents can teach their kids this, or, their teenagers, or the youth. How can we start putting this into practice? Or if someone has a doubt, how do we deal with this?
I think when we come to the kids, what parents need to do is target or teach children in such a manner that ultimately when they are in their teenage, they already have worked on those areas. They have sort of resolved those issues. Because what usually parents do is they don't teach these concepts to children because they're thinking they're too young to understand these concepts. And by the time they are teenagers and now their brain is working, now they're more exposed to the society. And that's when they stand up to you and the parents are saying, namaz paro. You should be praying now, if you're a Muslim. And they're like, why should I pray? I have my doubts about everything. So that means you had to work in a proactive manner starting from when the kids are very young. Okay. And very small concepts that you can give them. He's the creator, we are the creation, we need to believe in Allah, we need to believe in the system that He has established. Then teaching them how to pray at the right time. And then when the kids come to you with questions like, why? Don't give them a shut-up call. Don't tell them that, astaghfirullah, we shouldn't be asking such questions, Tell them, okay, let's study Quran and let's try to see what Allah says in different places about Quran, about whatever you're trying to seek answer. And ultimately, when they're grown up, what you need to do is basically at that moment tell them, give them the criteria for ultimate success. Many times what parents are doing these days is, yes, we want them to be career oriented, we want them to excel in their studies, go to the best universities and best places. But as you said at the very beginning, we are not giving them a solid backing or clarity on the principles of the religion. Now, what happens then is these kids, when they're going and they are interacting at an international level, they come across so many people who would ask them, oh, you're a Muslim. And in current scenarios, everyone wants to know about Islam. And they want to understand that whatever we see people talking all this negative stuff about Islam, can you guide me or can you tell me? And our own kids are so clueless on so many ideas. So this is a message for all the youngsters as well who watch your program. start with these things. Tell yourself, okay, these are the 3-4 pointers I start with. And many times what I have seen in families is people take it as a big burden. Oh, acha, I have to sit down and I have to study Quran. Really, do I have to? I have so many other important things to do. Why? Because they don't see the relevance with Quran. Sometimes when you're studying with someone and it seems like a big load that has been transferred to them. But what is Allah asking in these 5 verses? You want ultimate success? Okay, just sit and say, I believe in Allah, I believe in unseen. You're done with. Second, just pray 5 times. How much of the time it takes away from our busy schedule?
Yeah.
And third, go out, volunteer. Be part of charity organizations and charity work. I mean, there's so much of the work that is happening around, such marvelous projects. Even I have seen your show, you introduce so many marvelous projects.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we try. We do try, thanks to our producers
So
and things.
all the youngsters and even the parents or people who are watching that, all they have to do is pick up pointers from there, the beautiful things that are happening in our country, and be part of those projects.
Okay,
And
wonderful.
that is going to give us ultimate success. That will make us into a good believer, inshallah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. It's absolutely wonderful having this discussion with you. And you know, that was Surah Baqarah, the first 5 verses, and it was dealing with doubt and how to behave, and also how to kind of start behaving in this world as well. And we will be going into Surah Baqarah further as well next week. But now we're going to go for a short break. And when you come back, we're going to stick on this line on having a healthy life and lifestyle and incorporating these positive changes so we get the best of this time that we have on earth. Do stay tuned.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد.
रमजान की रहमत आ जाए किरदार में, बातचीत में नरमी हो, खुशी मिले सार में। रमजान पाकिस्तान अल्लाह का एहसान है। रमजान पाकिस्तान।
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were in discussion with Dr. Kaval Kassir, covering the first 5 verses of Surah Baqrah. And now, in line with fasting, we're trying to highlight the different things out there and also trying to make our lives more productive, healthier, and more positive. And in order to do that, we need to have the right lifestyles. We need to be putting the right things into our bodies. We need to be having the right activities. And there are people out there who are experts in this, and we have covered these topics in different capacities before, but now we have been very lucky. We've been joined by someone who has been practicing in Singapore for over 10 years. She is a yoga teacher as well as a holistic wellness specialist. Her name is Nadia Faruqi, and she will be sharing with us how to make our lives better. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. So let's get started because we're in fasting. It's Ramzan as well. But let's start off with holistic wellness. What do we mean by that?
So holistic wellness really means that you're involving your mind, your body, and your soul.
Okay.
So in combination, we work to get optimal health.
Okay, wonderful. So now when you would, if someone comes to you or when you're trying to put this across to people, how can we, especially within Pakistan, start adapting or looking into holistic wellness? And what does it actually incorporate for all these different 3 elements?
So,
That's a big question.
Yeah, so what we're meant to do and what we're trained to do is that we have tools for those 3 aspects of our well-being. And we, teach those tools to other people. So yoga being one of them, and then nutrition is the other aspect.
Right.
And then beyond that, it's, just the philosophy teaches you how to take care of your soul. So one of the things that's going on right now with Ramzan right now is that it is that time when you discipline yourself to go into that process of purification for the mind, body, soul. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's something that people should know that it's for a great cause, and there's meaning behind it.
And that's wonderful
And then
that we
there are
got you
tools.
at this time as well, right at the
Yes.
peak at the start of Ramadan. 'Cause,
Yeah.
everyone's saying it's a month to break bad habits. It's a month to try and incorporate healthy living.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's also a time to reflect. It's a time to meditate. It's a time to serve.
Okay.
So, there's elements that people understand about being well, and that's, as best as talking about nutrition, as best as going to a gym and exercising.
Okay, so let's
But there's
start
a lot
from
more
that
to it.
because I want to get to the specifics. So
Okay.
yesterday we did do a segment on nutrition, and we talked about the carbohydrates and the different proteins and replacing them and having brown breads rather than white breads or brown flour rather than white flour.
Right.
And these calories conversations that we're having. With holistic wellness regarding the nutrition or dietary element, what is actually included? Because it's slightly different, correct?
Well, you could break it down into calories. You can that's going into it's a very modern concept. So I'm going to go to the traditional and how it makes sense to the modern concept as well.
Okay, great.
So the thing is that as far as nutrition, as far as diet goes, even as far as your attitude towards life goes, right? Purity is the key word.
Right.
Pure food, pure thoughts, pure actions, and reflection.
Okay.
So you reflect so that you're able to then put out. And then if you're not our human bodies are really machines, if you think about it. The input really gives you the optimum output.
Okay, so let's get into the inputs. So you talked about pure foods. Within Pakistan, especially during fasting, we talked about this yesterday, we like to eat our heavy foods. And we are going to just go over this because this is another element of nutrition and explain it in a different way. So what can we be doing? Because, we shouldn't really be frying the parathas in oil, and we shouldn't be deep frying our pakoras. Like, how are we supposed to keep our traditions and still enjoy our foods?
I'm totally very excited about traditional food.
Okay.
One, because there's intelligence behind it.
Okay, great.
And so what has happened recently is that our modern technology has denatured food.
Okay.
So that's the biggest issue at hand.
Okay.
So when you talk about heavy food, if you're talking about fats, for instance, that's considered heavy, right? So if fats are heavy, they give you sustained energy.
Right.
Okay? So
and they're also useful for the body. So just to give you an example, lungs are 100% made out of saturated fat.
Okay.
Your brain is 85% made out of saturated fat.
Okay.
And most people are afraid of fats. What we haven't realized is that we've let go of the pure fats that our ancestors used, which was the ghee, which were pure oils, and we've denatured it. So, you know, it's become different from what it's meant to be.
Okay.
It's not true foods anymore.
Okay, so for example, so then now that you're saying that, so then in Sehri, you know, what should we be eating in order to make sure that our body's got that pure food in it and we have the energy to sustain us throughout the whole day?
So precisely, you need energy, which will, you know, hold you for the day.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe that you should be having a heavier iftari. Now, sorry, sehri, right? So the thing is that if you have a heavier sehri, you're eating pure foods, you're having your desi ghees,
Okay.
right? You're making your parathas with your desi gandam. You know, all the good stuff that we do have. You're having your desi andas, you know, desi eggs. So it's all there for us. It's just that we've stopped making those choices.
Okay.
So to get back to that, there's, like I said, there's intelligence behind what was done by ancestors, and we've lost that sense of intelligence.
Okay.
And we're slowly going into a lot of processing. So I would suggest that start your morning sehri with something that's going to hold you. I believe, and this is tried and tested on my body, you know, fats don't make you fat.
Okay.
The right kinds of fats. So
Okay.
be it your ghee, which is saturated, be it your coconut oil, be it your mustard oil. So if you're going to fry, I wouldn't recommend frying stuff in the morning, but if people do desire to have pakoras, I mean, it's not an ideal nutritionally packed food, but yet you can make it better, you know, you can make it more nutritional, with nutritionally dense with the right kind of oils.
Okay, and now because I do want to touch on the other elements of the holistic wellness, but in the evening, because I know everyone's, you know, always looking for ideas and trying to be healthy, and you know there is more awareness of going to the gym and, you know, like you said, eating pure foods or things that have been cooked properly. So you've mentioned in Faseri, we can be eating the parathas, we can be using our desi ghees and the mustard oils, etc. What about the evenings when we open? Because, you know, yesterday I opened my fast and I was, you know, within a half an hour, I wanted, you know, it was painful, it was uncomfortable.
Right.
How do we avoid that?
So, you know, I think food combinations are very important to remember
Okay.
when you're breaking your fast.
Okay.
Even in the morning, but you know, for fast breaking, especially because your stomach, your system has gone without food for a long time, so it's slowed down. All right, and as it is, food combinations help to optimize the energy input. So I would not mix meats with dense carbohydrates. I wouldn't do a paratha and, you know, meat together.
Okay.
I would rather have sabzi with a paratha, if that's, you know, I'm just giving an example.
No, yeah, examples are always good. We
Yeah,
like,
so
we
for
like specifics.
Exactly. But I would suggest having drinks first, starting out with a nice, not cold drinks, but on a, you know, room temperature drinks. Scanjabeen, lemonade is a great electrolyte drink. So if you're putting pure salt, which could be your Himalayan source or could be a sea salt, I mean it's pure because sodium levels are much higher in your processed. So they're going to not have the same effect. So because it's sea salt or Himalayan salt is richer in potassium, you know, it's much more. It's better for the electrolyte purpose.
Okay.
So that's one. And then for food, I would suggest not having too many raw foods.
Okay.
And then combining it a certain way where it's not making it feel heavy in your system.
What do you mean by raw foods?
Raw would be your, you know, your salads,
Okay.
right? Even your fruits. You know, if you're going to have raw fruits, and not to have fruit after a meal, after a warm meal. If you're going to have fruit, then have it the first thing.
Oh.
Wait half an hour or so,
Okay.
and then go to a meal.
Okay.
It's a great practice for us to have the khajur
Yeah.
and a scanjabeen, for
Okay.
instance, and then go into, you know, say your namaz, take a little bit of a pause, come back, and then have your meal, but not a late night meal then.
Okay, we need to be careful with the timings. Okay, now you've already mentioned that it's a holistic approach. So it's not just the nutrition element of it, it's also the mind and the body.
Right.
So you're also a yoga teacher?
I am.
So tell us, how can we, especially within this month as well, because we're trying to form positive, healthy habits that we can continue throughout the year. So we're fasting, we're eating our pure foods. When do we incorporate the yoga, which is the physical aspect of this wellness?
So yoga is not just the physical aspect.
Okay, sorry.
That's one part. No, that's a confusion everywhere in the world.
Okay.
Okay, we're more inclined towards the physical exercise, like the movement-based yoga. I teach that, and I also teach pranayama, which is the breathing techniques, and I also teach meditation. So I don't have to teach meditation. It's just that pranayama, the breathing techniques, bring you to that place of calm.
Okay.
And also it's almost like every cell is waking up in your body. So just imagine doing that in the morning and then following it up with your prayers.
Okay. Well, actually, now that you've mentioned that, is there something we can do right now? Practice some breathing and share with our viewers. Is there any techniques?
Sure.
Because, we're all fasting and we all, our personalities and characters are being tested. So, it's always best to be calm, especially when, things are quite testing when you're fasting. So what breathing technique to take the edge off if something's starting to agitate us?
I think breathing itself takes the edge off.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the things that we do is that we breathe from our nose.
Yeah.
So that helps to oxygenate the body.
Okay.
And the idea is to make your breath a little bit longer through the inhale and through the exhale.
Right.
Where you feel the breath is entering not from your nose and going all the way down.
Okay.
And then you're exhaling and completely clearing it up.
Okay.
There's a slight sound in the breathing,
Okay.
which comes from a slight constriction in the glottis.
Okay.
And that helps to create a very soothing sound, which is great for the nervous system.
Okay.
I can't teach you all the techniques right now,
no,
but
of
there's a
course.
base
Yeah.
that it all starts from, which
Okay.
is nasal breathing.
Right.
Okay? So first we empty out your exhale and take away any stale air that's in the body. Okay? Should I do that?
Yes, please, let's do it. Give us an
You wanna
example.
do it with
I'm going to do it with you.
Okay, let's clear the exhale out
Okay,
first.
so
Slow the breath. Now slowly sip the air through your nose. Close your eyes. And then slowly empty. Keep it the same speed. So there's a slow control in your breath. And you're keeping your attention on the sound of the breathing. Make sure the exhale is completely emptied, so much so that you feel it leaving through your toes. And then you inhale, keeping the belly slightly toned. You inhale like you're filling up a balloon. Keep your posture natural, but upright. Keep a softness in the spine. Do a few rounds like that. And it just brings you into the present moment.
if I keep doing that, I'm going to fall asleep. It's really calming. Oh, wow, that was very calming, actually. You guys should really try that. I did that for not even a minute, I don't think. Oh, my, I've gone lightheaded. Okay, so now that...
The lightheadedness, by the way, is coming from you not breathing well.
Oh,
So as soon as the oxygen starts to enter, no, but that's the beauty of our bodies, right?
yeah.
It gives us messages.
Absolutely. And okay, so that's great. So that means, you know, you learn a lot with these shows as well. Okay, so now that's the breathing element. Now, when it comes to the actual, like you said, meditation's involved. And, you know, within Ramzan, people are praying. You know, it's about finding that peace within yourself and kind of trying to understand other people's situations and sympathy and empathy, etc. How do we start incorporating that into our lives? Because we're busy these days with work, and then you have social media, and then you have a social life. So where do we incorporate all of this?
I think you have to find time for it. You have to make it a priority. Your health should be a priority, I feel. So I would say that, that please make it a priority. But you don't have to dedicate 2 hours to it every single day.
Okay.
Even if you have 5 minutes, just be present to what you're doing. So the breathing that you did right now, it took you what? A minute?
Yeah.
okay? But it took you somewhere. It brought you into a present,
Yeah, it
into
was
the
a nice
present moment.
feeling. I had
Yeah.
a good feeling.
So then, once you have kind of used the tool to set the tone of the day, which is typically in the morning, which is also Sehri time right now, then your whole decision making for the day is clearer.
Okay. And so for, we have a lot of mothers that watch, we have a lot of students, so there's two different, when you are managing a house, when you do have kids,
Yeah.
how easy is it to actually include the children in all of this? And is it best to start them young in this whole holistic wellness approach?
I think whatever you do for yourself becomes their lifestyle too. So
Okay.
they don't have to naturally be doing rituals, they don't have to be doing the breathing right now. They don't, but they feed off of your energy, right? Which naturally draws them into it. I have a young son, he's 10. And he's very aware of how important it is for the household to keep myself well.
Okay.
To keep his mom well means, means happiness for him, because then I'm more present with him. Then I'm making more healthier choices for him.
Okay.
It's and I think for mothers especially.
And now within Pakistan, you hear this a lot. We do have a massive population that doesn't have access to all of the different things that maybe we do within certain privileged backgrounds or access. So for all of those people, when they're out dealing with the stresses, how can they educate themselves and kind of find out about this holistic wellness as well?
I think it's your job to be
Okay,
educating, to be making them aware, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, which is what you guys are doing.
Okay.
And once you make them aware, we're there to teach them tools.
Okay. And so then there's the role of the media. That's what you're saying, to
Yes,
kind of promote that and
absolutely, yeah.
raise awareness. But then because these days, we have in the past, and we're very honest with our viewers as well, that we've had yoga teachers who've been fantastic. But then you do have some that maybe don't know what they're doing. And, that could be dangerous as well when you go to
Absolutely.
someone who doesn't have the right qualifications,
Absolutely.
especially in an important month like this. So how can what should they be keeping an eye out for when they are looking for either a wellness specialist or a yoga teacher, for these?
I think people are marketing themselves really well nowadays, so it's
Okay.
hard to say.
Yep.
Having said that, if you feel good, if you, after doing an asana class, which is the postures,
Okay.
if you feel good about yourself, if your body feels alive and awake and aligned, then that means you've done something well. Okay, if you're breathing well. So those are the things to look out for. You have to expose yourself first.
Okay.
And then as far as pranayama goes, it's very specific. You have to go with somebody who's very experienced.
Okay, so it's trial and error, guys, and you will know and you will feel, but we have actually run out of time. But is there any message that you would like to give to all our viewers that they should keep in mind during the month of Ramadan or just in general for life?
I think in general, presence.
Okay.
Just being present, be it for 1 second or sitting for 10 minutes. Just finding pockets of time where you're present to yourself. The breathing technique, the breathing is very important. It's very helpful. It becomes important, but it's very helpful to bring you to that present moment. Mindfulness in everything you do.
Absolutely.
Is what I would suggest.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an
Thank
absolute pleasure. And thank you for staying back to be on our show as well. We know you delayed your return to Singapore for that. So that was Nadia Faruqi, who is our holistic wellness specialist and yoga teacher, telling us about how to live a healthier life, have a better pattern and routine, and what foods we can eat. And actually, a lot of these nutritionists are saying, cut this out, don't do this. Actually, we do need to look at history. It does teach us a lot. Our parents were doing something right. They lived healthy lives at one point as well. So with that, if you would like any information on anything that we've discussed, be it about Surah Baqrah or about how to make your lives better, log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of Well This Morning, our Twitter page, Well This Morning without the G, our Daily Motion and YouTube page, Well This Morning. The repeat is at 11:05 p.m. this evening. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a good fast, and I will see you bright and early on Monday morning.